Welcome back to Tactical Foul. My name is Tigo. That is Kevin. We're back doing a Euro episode because, well, the Euros have been absolutely bonkers. But before we get into that, Kevin, how are you doing this wonderful evening?
Well, I am doing great, man. I'm so excited to talk about all this stuff because, man, was this crazy. This whole entire Euros has been insane, unpredictable in a way, in many ways. And I'm just so ready to just dive in and talk about all the stuff, but I don't want to go too in just yet, right? Let's get into what's most important first. And I think what you and I both know is most important is that we want to talk about the most is how terrible England have played in this competition, regardless of them coming in and winning their group, all that stuff. The underwhelming performances that we have gotten from England have been atrocious to say the least. And since you brought it up before the podcast started, what are your thoughts? You say a lot that Gareth Southgate is at fault for this, and I want to hear your thoughts on why you think that and what you think they can do moving forward, if they can do something moving forward to try to capture something with the squad that they have. It's ridiculous, man. They a team like England being so terrible. I don't know. Tell me.
It's really simple. Gareth Southgate should not have made it. He should not have been the manager of this team. You cannot be a manager of an England team. You you cannot be a manager of this England team and have a win rate record of 44%. That's his win rate record all time as England manager. You can't do that. You can't be an England manager and against top 10 competition, and this is according to the FIFA rankings, against top 10 competition. Do you know what his record is? In his 8 years at England, I want you to take a guess. He has played 27 matches against teams ranked in the top 10 according to FIFA. How many wins do you think he has?
I don't know, man. Probably like 2.
He has 6. He has six
so bad.
wins.
So bad.
It's just unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Look, I am not an England fan. To be honest, I don't really have a country that I root for in the Euros. I pick a story, and that's what I love. I love the stories of the Euro because I don't have a dog in the race. I don't care if Spain wins or if England wins or if Germany wins because I don't have a dog in the race, like, at all. Like, my lineage would be happy if Spain won because technically before Brazil, like, my lineage goes back to Madrid, hence the Hala Madrid. But, like, I don't have a dog in the race. But to see what Southgate is doing with this group, with this squad, and how he is just squandering it. And it's a couple of things. It's one, it's just the choices that he's made for the team. It just blows my mind. And then every time he has an opportunity to open his mouth, blows my mind. And then when you're setting up the starting 11 and you've brought a ton of really good midfielders, instead of playing, I don't know, any of those midfielders, let me play a right back out of position in the midfield, even though he struggles to defend just because he's a good passer. I'm sorry. If that's the case, why did you bring Kobe Mainu? Why did you bring Adam Wharton? Why did you bring
he's not
Conor Gallagher?
He's not playing with the double pivot that he should be.
No, he is.
He is. It's so bad the way that he's not doing it, man. He's not utilizing, in my opinion, players like Declan Rice, players like Cole Palmer. And I feel like that's been such a detrimental to the team, man. And I get that Bellingham is their most important player, but I feel like he needs someone with more Saz in the attacking midfield.
That's not the
Something is
problem.
off.
The problem is, if you watch those England games, is that they're trying to do everything. And I mean, the whole England team is
It's so
trying to get Phil
boring.
Foden
It's so
going.
boring, though.
Dude, how
No, I
many
don't think it's
times
just
do you
that.
pause? No, it is. Because look, how many times do you pause the England game and do you see Phil Foden centrally and Jude Bellingham out left? What is Jude going to do out left? How many times are you going to pause the game and you see him out of position, Jude out of position, because they're trying to facilitate?
Well, you
Like
heard
Phil
I don't know
Foden.
if I don't know if you've heard though, but Phil Foden is actually going to be out because he went back to the UK because I guess he's going to have his third child, and
Like,
so he's going to be out.
this
But
is-
now that this is an opportunity to do better,
It's
right?
so crazy because now
What-
they're going to
what do
be
you do?
forced. Now they're going to be forced to play Conor Gallagher on the left, and the team is going
I
to
hate
look
it.
better. Like, because he's the only real left winger that they have. They need someone on the left. Like, that's who you're going to play. So now they're going to play like
Okay, let me ask you this.
they're no, not Conor
Where do-
Gallagher. Yeah, probably Conor Gallagher. No,
Well,
it's
let me
Anthony
ask-
Gordon.
Let me ask you this though. How does Cole Palmer fit into all of this? Because I feel like he's
doesn't.
that's messed up though, man. He's had such a good season for Chelsea.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
Bukayo
like
Saka's
he
better.
needs to be given more opportunity
Saka's better.
play and to
The problem
Is
is
he, though?
they're too good on one side of the field, right? Because if you look at the defenders, they have 4 right backs on the team. Like, did they bring a left back? They brought Kyle Walker, Luke Shaw, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Kieran Trippier. That's 4 right backs, and they're all really good right backs,
and
right?
they have Kieran Trippier playing as a left back.
Because of the fact that they don't have left backs, right? But they brought 4 right backs, and those are 4 really good right backs, right? If you're saying that Luke Shaw is the worst of your right backs, like that's a compliment. Luke Shaw is a really good right back, but Kyle Walker's the best right back in the world, and like right behind him is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Kieran Trippier is up there, and so like they're really good on the right side. And then if you look at right wingers, well then they're stacked for right wingers because you have Phil Foden is a right winger. Cole Palmer is a right winger. Bukayo Saka is a right winger. And you only have
just feel
one
like- I
spot.
feel like-
And of those 3, the best one is Bukayo Saka. The real thing that Southgate needs to do real quick is Phil Foden going back to England for his kid is a blessing in disguise for England because they tried to shoehorn him in on the left side and it wasn't working. And because of that, he started playing more centrally, forcing Jude to play out left more, and both of their games suffered because of it. Now that Jude is going to hold the central part of the field to himself, you're going to be able to start a guy like Anthony Gordon, who is not as good as Foden, but won't be playing out of position. That's the key point. The midfield got better when they took Trent out and they put Conor Gallagher in. Is Conor Gallagher as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold? No, but he is a midfielder. So the unit got better. Like this is the other one, like this is, I would do this, is I think you need to see what this starting 11 looks like without Harry Kane up top. Because he just hasn't brought you anything. How much of that is because of the midfield struggles? How much of that is
Who
because
do they replace for Harry Kane though? Really, I mean, realistically,
I
Even
would-
Tony?
I
Even
would
Tony?
bring in Ollie Watkins. That's who
Ollie
I would
Watkins?
bring in. That would be the person that I would bring in. But Ivan Toney is a great answer. What would it look like if you didn't play with a strike? Like, what if you played kind of like Real Madrid does, just forego the striker, bring an extra midfielder in, and then you play Jude as like that false 9 kind of? Like, there are things that you can do, but Southgate is too scared to do it because
Here's my-
benching a Man
here's my
City
thing
player
about-
and benching your captain
Yeah.
is, it's too scary to do.
Here's my thing about Gareth Southgate, man, and I just feel like, to me, if I had this squad, just looking at the squad, I wouldn't play with a 4-2-3-1, in my opinion. And I know I know that you're not gonna agree with the things that I'm gonna say, but I would have played either Cole Palmer. I would have had Bellingham and Rice as my. Bellingham would have been more of a box-to-box midfielder if I'm looking at it, right? If I'm looking at this team and I'm setting it up. Like, if I'm playing FIFA with this team, this is how I would set up, right? I would have Bellingham as my box-to-box, Declan Rice as my,
Pivot.
main playmaker, pivot, and I would have either Cole Palmer or Phil Foden as that, like, attacking third kind of guy. And even though Phil Foden hasn't had a great Euro, even though he's, surprisingly one of the only ones that has scored on this team. But I'll agree, compared to what he's done at City, not even close. But then if not him, Cole Palmer, or if not him, just I don't know, man. There's just so many answers, I feel like, in the England squad that I don't see Gareth Southgate utilizing. I feel like he's trying to play like a double pivot, like he's scared. Like he just wants the safe side. He wants the draw. He wants the 1-0. Oh, okay, we're good, guys. And that's what frustrates me, because how do you have a team with so much talent like you do, and you don't utilize it more in more attacking fashion, man? A double pivot. How do you play a double pivot using this team? How?
Dude, it's not even the problem with the double pivot. It's just you're using players out of position and trying to shoehorn people in.
Pivot is ridiculous playing with this team, brother. It just doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing.
Doesn't make any sense.
I think it does. And the reason I think it does is because you're really, like, you have to remember how far forward the fullbacks are going to go. Kyle Walker is going to be a part of that attack.
I understand.
Trippier is going to be a part of that attack. And
you can still do that.
Playing with those two guys there.
Attacking.
No, yeah, but like what I'm saying is they're not playing attacking. The problem is that the players that they have in their attacking positions are all out of position. You're playing a right winger at the left wing. And because he can't play the left wing, he's coming into play centrally where he feels more comfortable, forcing your central midfielder over to the left side. Here's the problem with that.
In the center mid, not in the wing. Why would you put Foden on the wing?
Because he's a right winger at City. He's played centrally this year and shown that he can play a 10. But you know who's better than him at the 10? Jude. Jude's a better 10. So if you're going to pick a 10
more, okay, but I feel like you can get more out of Jude as a box-to-box midfielder, because he's going to be able to defend and to attack.
But you want him as a part of the attack. You want him a part of the attack. The team is better with Gallagher in at that pivot.
But I'm not saying not to have Jude as a part of the attack. That's not what I'm saying.
But if you have him as box-to-box,
Jude. You need to utilize Jude as in defense and in offense. You got to utilize him in both, man. And I feel like they're relying on him to be the 10, and I just don't think that that's the right move for this England squad, because they have so much players, like I said, Foden or Palmer, that can play those roles. Not better, but that will give them more freedom and more defensive edge, and give them edge to attack more. And not just attack more centrally, because utilizing the wings all of the time is not going to do you anything. It's not going to do you mentioned a stat earlier. They have the most crosses, or like the most
crossing accuracy,
crosses, but they're not scoring anything with it. They're not doing anything with those crosses, because they want to play down the wings, because they want to do this double pivot crap that I just don't think suits the team better. I feel like Jude is such an amazing player, man. He had such a great season with Madrid, and Madrid used him in a completely different role. I'll admit, it worked out to have him more like as an attacking, but he wasn't even an attacking midfielder.
No, he played as like a false 10. It's a weird role.
Right.
He played as like an 8.5.
I feel like he and you've said this many times, that Jude has great defensive stats along with great passing and great vision.
Yes.
And he does. I agree. That's why I would put him as box to box, because he's going to help you out defensively, and he's going to be the driving force going forward. He's going to start you the attack.
I agree with everything that you're saying, except for the fact, this is the point. If you put Jude down as a part of the double pivot, he's not going to be another double pivot, but he, like you said, he plays box to box. The problem that you run into is that you are lessening the value of Jude, right? Like, let's just put this in math terms. If Jude is 100% in that center attacking mid spot, and then you put him as that box to box, let's say he's at 80. When you put Phil Foden in at that 10, he's only going to give you 85% of what Jude is going to give you. And so now what you're getting is a lesser quality player at both that
And
number
look, I
6
don't.
and the number 10. Whereas if you keep Jude at that spot, right, in that number 10 role as the facilitator of the offense centrally, and then you put a guy, and he's not as good, but he is their best other midfielder, I think, like Conor Gallagher in that spot. Not only does it free up Declan Rice in his defensive responsibilities, so Rice can get further up on the pitch, which we saw from him against Slovenia. Declan Rice was further up the pitch and being a part of the attack, which I think was good for that England team. Not only was he able to do that, but so was Conor Gallagher because he has the fitness to play moving forward and moving back. And so to put it into numbers, Gallagher would be at 90%. And that's the point. Instead of losing 20% at both positions because you're trying to shoehorn Man City players onto this team, because I think that's what it is. Nothing that Phil Foden has done this tournament justifies him being on the team. He hasn't scored. He hasn't assisted. He hasn't done anything. No, he hasn't. England have scored 2 goals. Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane. Those are the 2 goals that they've.
He scored a goal. He scored a goal. I know that for sure.
He hasn't scored a goal. I looked it up. Jude scored against Serbia and Kane scored against Denmark. He hasn't scored a goal.
I'm pretty positive.
You can look it up, my friend. He has not scored a goal. He hasn't done anything to justify him being on the team. And if this England team is good enough to bring it home, like all of these England fans are telling me, then the best option is maybe play someone who can actually play the left wing on the left wing and actually play someone in that forward position that's going to help. The best move that Southgate did was he benched Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it showed some growth from Southgate. But the problem is that it's too little, too late. You're going into a game, and they got so lucky that they drew Slovakia in the round of 16 because it's a team that they are better than and that they should beat. But do you really, are you literally going to tell me the team that struggled against Serbia, the team that struggled against Denmark, the team that struggled against Slovenia is going to beat Slovakia? Is that a game that you can legitimately tell me that, England should win that game? Everything says that they should win that game. But can you really tell me they're going to win that game? That's the point.
I get what you're saying. And I don't disagree. But I just feel like you have quality players to use as a 10, and I don't feel like you devalue Jude's position, putting him as a box-to-box. A box-to-box, I feel like, is the most important player on the pitch. And he is the most important player on the pitch. He's the one that has the most quality, the most quality defensively and offensively. He does.
Yes,
and he can be that driving force. I feel like at least
you don't want to give him more responsibility. He's 20 years old. Don't put the world on his shoulders.
But he's 20 years old. Okay, he's 20 years old. He took that responsibility on for Madrid.
No, he didn't take on that defensive responsibility. He played in defense. Playing in the defense and taking on defensive responsibility are two different things, right?
But it's not like he's going to be taking a full-on
if he's playing as the second pivot, he is.
He's playing as a partial of the defensive, but he's not going to be he's not a center back. He's not the main pivot. The main pivot takes more defensive responsibility than a box to box. I feel like he could give you the counters that they need. He could give you the passing that you need at the places that you need it at.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference, right? Just because I think you brought up a really good point. I don't want you to move on from it or for me to forget, because you brought up the counters, right? And that is an excellent, excellent point. What do you want Jude making the first pass on the counter or receiving the pass up the field as a part of the counter? He can't do both. If he plays as the 10, he can receive the pass and create.
I want what I know is going to work for the team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Him at the 10.
And I get what you're saying about quality chances, but you have your. And the thing is, what strikes me is that he brought on players like you said, maybe Foden shouldn't even have came on if he's going to play this way.
Shouldn't
If
have.
he's gonna,
I wouldn't have started Foden.
if he was thinking, okay, I want Jude to be my 10, then why the heck do you bring Foden and Palmer?
No.
Why?
Look, Palmer's not a
winger,
10.
but Palmer can play a 10.
He can, but that's not why he was brought in. He's a right winger.
Bro, he hasn't even used him. He used him for one game.
Yeah, no, look, dude, I agree with you.
It's insane.
He is mismanaging the players at every level.
Literally brought.
He shouldn't be allowed to fly back with the team.
He brought 100. He brought on a team that to me looks like, and like I told you, me looking at this team and like me,
they should be unstoppable.
Here's my point. He brought on a team that you should be doing a 4-3-3 with, not a 4-2-3-1, in my opinion. It's just not the one. Even if take away.
No. I disagree.
No. Take away putting Palmer or Foden in that attacking role. Put Jude on there. You still can use somebody else as a box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah.
Have other options
I agree.
as a box-to-box midfielder. Why are you playing a double pivot when you have Declan Rice? Why?
Yeah, because of the 10. You can't have a 10.
But the thing is, you can still have the 10 without doing that.
How?
Let me explain.
In modern day tactics, it is very hard to justify a 10 without a double pivot. And I'm not saying like 2 6s, right?
Let's talk about this. De Bruyne doesn't technically play the 10.
No, he's a box to box.
He's a box to box, but
Silva plays
the main guy. He's the main guy. One of those, you have 2 6s, 1 pivot. One of those 6s, he's your Iniesta. He's your guy coming up. He's your guy giving you those chances. That could still be Jude. I just feel like playing a double pivot with this team, it just seems scared, man. It is. It's totally right.
Here's the
thing.
And
I get what you're saying about Jude being the 10 and that, but what I'm trying to say is you can still do that and play more attacking football centrally. Because yes, they are playing attacking football, but that down the wings is not going to give him the justice that this team deserves.
I agree. They should play a 4-1-2-1-2. They should play centrally. Screw the wings.
Even that.
Screw the wings. Declan Rice is your pivot. Then you're going to have your 2 midfielders who, because then, if you want to play TAA in the midfield and he's not part of the pivot and he's just going to go forward, you can play him there, and you can play him there with another person in that midfield group, but you don't even need to. But now you have 4 midfielders. And if you have 4 midfielders, now you're talking about having Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Kobe Mainu probably sees more play, and I think he should see more play. You can play Foden probably in a 4-1-2-1-2. And Harry Kane and Bukayo Saka as your 2 strikers, as your 2 center forwards is still... Look, we know that there are better options for England. The problem is the manager. That it all comes... Everything that we're saying comes back to Southgate. Everything comes back to Southgate. And
like
everything comes back...
Chance.
Everything comes back to, as well, the overvaluing, because you see this on every single player from Man City at the tournament. It is this forcing of, well, they're the best team in the Premier League, so they have to have the best players. Like, that is not true. None of the Man City players are having all that good of a tournament. Now, I'm not saying that they're all having bad tournaments, because that's just objectively not true. That's not what I'm saying. But this shoehorning and forcing of, well, it's like it's a similar issue that you see like with Real Madrid players.
Here's what I'll take from what you said, because I do agree that Man City players haven't done as good as they have on Man City, because it's true. In Man City, they're
world class
as part of Pep's system. It's 100% true.
Yeah, they look like world class.
And I don't think that they have bad players, but when I feel like a lot of these coaches don't play them in the same system, and then they're kind of lost in
Yeah,
translation in a way. You know what I mean? They're lost in like, oh well, I do this at City,
but I
and
can't
now
do
I'm
that,
trying to take. They want to give me much more responsibilities
and I
on
can't
this
handle it.
team because I've done it and I can't handle it because I'm with a team that has multiple players doing multiple different things, and I'm only taking on like one or two responsibilities at City rather than now having to take on five or
I
six.
have to do everything. I have to do everything for my national team. Where at City, I'm told these are the three things, and even those
That you
three
need to
things that I
do.
have to do, I'm even told how to handle those three things. Players who play for Man City, to put it in American football terms, if you play for Man City, you need to learn a playbook. That's it. You just got to learn a playbook because that's what Pep is going to ask from you. Learn my playbook because he's going to tell you how to play in every situation because every player has to be at a, and if you can't do that, you're not going to be on Man City. And here's the thing, it works. It works incredibly well. Everybody knows how Man City is going to play, and they still can't stop it. They have drilled that system into those players. But when you're talking about a guy like Phil Foden, like here's the thing, if you want to play Phil Foden, cool, totally get it. Put Saka on the left. Saka's the better player. Saka is better than Foden. And you know my disdain for Arsenal. So you know that me saying that is not because I like Arsenal or no. You know, and you can vouch for my disdain for Arsenal.
The thing is, he's got the dribbling and the speed to play down the left,
And the
whereas
creativity.
as Foden doesn't.
No.
Foden has to be. He's gonna cut in. He doesn't have the speed,
And-
but he has the dribbling and he's got the passing.
And
to
you know what
play
helps him even
there.
more? Who's overlapping him on the right side? His teammate
Walker.
in Kyle Walker. Put those guys together on that right side. And if you're going to have a player sacrifice his own ability, have it be Bukayo Saka, who is better than Phil Foden. He's shown us that at England and at Arsenal. And even though Arsenal haven't won a trophy, and I think that's more because of Arteta than it is because of the players on the team, and we've had this conversation, we'll have this conversation later, blah, 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 blah. We'll talk about it in the summer once the tournaments are over. Even because of all of that, put him on the left side. But again, they won't. And it all comes back, and this is where we'll end it, and we'll move on because we've been talking about England for 20 minutes.
And I have the perfect topic to move on because
The
we're
point
transitioning perfectly.
is that Gareth Southgate has done nothing in the last 8 years to justify keeping his job. And what we're seeing is the beginning of a golden generation of England players. Bukayo Saka is 22. He is 22 years old. That means that he is only going to get better. Anthony Gordon is 23. Kobe Mainu is 19. Cole Palmer is 22. Conor Gallagher and Phil Foden are 24. Jude Bellingham is 20. Declan Rice is 25. Mark Guehi, side note, impressed me incredibly. I was worried about that. He has looked actually really good in that central defense for England. Is 23 years old. Trent Alexander-Arnold is 25. They have the players on this team for the future. And what you're doing
100%.
is you're wasting a golden opportunity to kick off what could be English dominance in Europe and in the world. That's what you're doing. Because you know the next time we're going to see England in a tournament, it's going to be in 2 years. And now you're talking about Harry Kane being 32.
Yeah.
And you're wasting the best striker that England probably has ever had. You're wasting
I don't know
it.
about the best striker he's ever had, but
Maybe
definitely
you're
the
right.
best
I don't
striker
know
they
English
have.
history. Like they've had, he is
One of the
incredible
best strikers in the world
right now. You're right. That's a better statement to say. So the point
Anyway,
is that you are
wanna
wasting it. And the English FA, in my opinion, and the people running football in England
Small-minded.
seem to hate the game of football because
Yeah.
every
They're
decision that
small-minded.
they make is
Small-minded. They're
anti-football.
stubborn and small-minded, in my opinion. Either way, yes, we can agree that Gareth Southgate is totally just dropping the ball on this because
at
just
every
to have
step.
this kind of at every corner, every step, whatever you want to say it. Now, I want to kind of go into our next topic, going back to just this recent conversation we had about system players, right? Because, and you know, I want to talk about what I think the two favorites are for this competition right now,
Mm-hmm.
who I think are the strongest teams, are Spain and Germany. And let me explain. We talk a lot about system players, and Germany and Spain play in that same system that these players already know how to play, because you've talked about Spain not having a great squad because they don't, but they do play well because they know how to play that sort of system that they've always been, that's been ingrained into almost every Spaniard's head since they grow up playing football. I mean, can you agree with me on that? I mean, like,
What part of it? That's Spain.
Spain and Germany both, like,
I would
they
say
grow
Germany.
up playing they grow up playing this kind of football in a sort of system where they have to be in a certain position and they have certain responsibilities, as opposed to Portugal that play more individually, like, you know what I mean, or teams
I
like,
I look. I get what you're saying, and
or even England.
historically, that's true. With like Germany playing a very German style of football,
And
the
Spain being
one
a Spaniard.
and Spain too. We know how Spain is going to play.
Right.
If Spain comes out in
They
anything
play
but
under
a
a system.
4-3-3, it's a problem. If they come out in anything but a
here's-
4-3-3, but just to counter what you're saying, and then I want you to go on and finish your point.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true of this Germany team, and I don't think that's true because of Julian Nagelsmann. I don't think Julian Nagelsmann has shown the world, in my opinion, why he is one of the best managers, why he should be one of the most hotly sought after managers right now. And I think we both agree that he was fired from Bayern unjustly. Like, he shouldn't have been fired from Bayern. But Nagelsmann has come up and shown us, in my opinion, how you manage international football.
And I
because
don't
he
disagree.
has an incredible system put in place that doesn't look like traditional German football.
I don't disagree with what you're saying at all. I do agree that Julian Nagelsmann is an amazing coach, but he grew up with those same German principles.
Oh, yeah,
He has the
philosophies
team-
and things,
He
totally,
has the
totally.
team playing in the system that they need to be playing, and he's tweaking it in a way that's favoring that team so well. And Germany are the favorites. As much as I favorite Spain personally, yes, it's a biased opinion. Germany are at home. They are the best team right now. They have the best goal difference. They have the best possible stats you can have as a team as a whole. But this is why I think that these two teams, especially, you know, more than likely Spain will overcome Georgia, and Germany will overcome, who are they playing? They will overcome
Denmark.
Yeah, easy, right? More than likely, we're going to see these two teams in the quarterfinal. I think it's safe to say. And man, I mean, it's not exactly safe to say, but
This is Germany's tournament to lose.
This is Germany's tournament to lose. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Spain can overcome Germany, man, yeah, it's going to be their tournament to lose.
I don't think so.
If Spain overcome Germany, I do feel like, depending on who they get in the semifinals,
It'll be France or
if
Portugal.
their tournament, France or Portugal.
I don't think Spain is better than
France or Portugal.
I don't
feel
think
like
they're
they
better than
play.
either team.
There's where I disagree.
Now,
with you.
I'm not
What
saying
has
that
France?
the other teams
What has
are
France
better.
shown you? No. Portugal, I'll give you, because Portugal have.
No. I think
had
they're
a
on the
great
same
tournament.
level. I think Spain and Portugal are really, really similar in how they play.
Spain and Portugal,
in terms
Spain
of
and
quality
Portugal
of
are
talent.
there. But France, what is France? Okay, and I want you to really talk to me about this, because I don't get the France narrative. I get that they have a great team, but they have not shown me anything in this tournament to say that they're a favorite to go and win it. They
I'm
just
not saying
haven't.
that they're the favorites. Let me before I go into the France bit, let me just
But why do you
address
think they're
something
better?
real quick.
Why do you think they're better?
I was wrong. You were right about Germany. When we did this episode a week or two ago, if you haven't watched that, go and watch that. The link will be up in the corner by Kevin's head. It is a great, great episode. You were right. Germany is the best team in this tournament. By far and away. They are single-handedly, like, they own that spot, in my opinion, by themselves as the best team in the tournament. And I don't like doing like ranked 1 or ranked 2. I do tiers. And then if Germany lose, because any team can lose, then there's a bunch of tiers. And teams that are in the same tier, I have France in tier 2. I have Spain in tier 2. I have Portugal in tier 2. I have the Netherlands in tier 2. I have England in tier 2. Like, those teams are all in tier 2 to me. And on any given day, any one of those teams can beat any of these other teams. That is true about those teams. Why is it specifically that I give the edge to France over Spain? And it will always come down to the quality of player on France. I think what you're doing a little bit here is ignoring the fact that in the first game, Kylian broke his nose, right? He breaks his nose, and they won against Austria, who, we'll talk about it a little bit later, Austria has been absolutely insane. So beating...
I did mention they were going to be
good.
But
you did. Let me give you credit.
Very surprised with how well they did. Because
you said that they were going to play well, and they played even better.
Even
right?
better than what I thought, for sure.
Put some respect on Austria, right?
100%.
Because Austria has played incredibly, and France overcame Austria, right? Then France goes into a game against the Netherlands, a team that, again, that you brought up, very strong team, and drew them without Kylian. Because he broke his nose. Now, here's the biggest thing. Go look at the formation and how France played in that first game against Austria where they won versus how they played in the second game versus how they played in the third game. The team is going through a metamorphosis, and Deschamps is chosen too late in the process to go through this metamorphosis. Because if we look at that first game and we look at the lineups in that game and we look at how they play, like, you didn't have Tchouaméni in the starting 11, and he was in the other two games. And once they put Tchouaméni in the starting 11 and the midfield was Rabiot, Kanté, and Tchouaméni, the team played better up the midfield. But the moment that your midfield got better, well, your finisher, the guy who's supposed to score your goals for you, broke his nose and he couldn't play. And Antoine Griezmann, while he's still good, at this point in his career, he's a number 10. He's not a 9. He can't play in that 9. You shouldn't have to play him in that 9. And so I think that they're going through, real quick, I think a thing that they're going through is a little bit of a metamorphosis of coming back to their roots, playing in that 4-3-3, and letting those players get comfortable. The good thing is that France kind of have a get-right game against Belgium in the round of 16, and I'm not saying that that's an easy game, but Lukaku's not going to score, right? Like, no. We know that. And so, like, it's one of those things where Belgium has not played to the level that we expect of Belgium. So France should win that game, and they can use this game because they'll have everybody. Everybody's going to be there, and they can use that game as a get-right game. And even when you watch those French games, the France game against Poland, and you look at the opportunities that they had to score goals, how many chances, how many things that just didn't go their way. It was I hate using this word, but it was unlucky. Now, you create your own luck, and I'd rather be lucky than skilled, but like, dude, they had 19 shots, 8 of which were on target. They had 60% of the possession. Like, sometimes you just run into a goalkeeper that's standing on his head, and he's just not going to get scored on that day. You know what I mean? And sometimes you're just unlucky. Ask Lukaku if he feels he would be the highest goal scorer of the tournament if offside doesn't exist. He would have 5 goals, I believe. It's 3 or 5 goals this tournament. It's unlucky, and that happens. And so that's my point.
This is my take on France, and I do agree with they do have the quality, and I do feel like they've been needing to find their identity because I haven't seen that identity yet, and they've gone by not really having that identity. Even against Austria, yes, it was impressive that they beat Austria because we did not expect Austria to be this good.
Nope.
But let's give it this: Austria didn't score because I feel like France has such a good defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And But the thing that I'm not seeing against France versus other teams, why I wouldn't put them in my tier 2. I think yeah, I put them in a tier 2, but I just feel like there's certain teams that are better than them.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say Spain and Germany for sure to
Germany
me.
is better than them, but I don't see it with Spain. I don't think Spain has
Anyway,
felt the competition.
wait.
Like
So
you
let
beat
me finish.
Croatia, you beat Italy, and you beat
Hold on.
Albania.
I get it. Let me finish, and I get why. To me, like I say, maybe this is just biased coming up from my end, which is totally fine. Okay, I'm allowed to be biased
Go
over a
ahead.
team that I think is good. But what I think is just from what I've seen from France is I just feel like they need their identity. And if they find it against Belgium, great, because they'll go into that game against Portugal, which Portugal will most likely beat Slovenia. They'll go into that game against Portugal really strong. But they desperately need to find an identity, man, because they just haven't. They just haven't had that identity. Against Netherlands, we saw it a little bit in the second half because they started gaining momentum and they started moving the way that we know they can because they have quality. Yes, France have quality. They have more quality than Spain. They have more quality than a lot of teams. They have almost equal quality than what Germany has, you know? And Germany top have great game and quality all at the same time, which is what I think France is just lacking is the game, their identity, the way that they play, the way that we know they can play. So, though I do get what you're saying about France, where I disagree is just that I need to see more from them, man. Even the games that you've tried to justify that I get.
I just haven't seen it from Spain.
And I get that Mbappe is a huge factor of them. Like they obviously need him to have that attacking edge, and they didn't have him in the second game. And in the first game, he broke his nose. It makes sense. I get it, but they need more. They have more quality than just one player.
Of course.
And so to see them in the third game still not really finding their identity was disappointing.
I don't think they. I think you're saying that they didn't find their identity in the third game. They know who they are. They played the way that they were. They got a little unlucky. I think that's
Poland,
fair to say.
Poland, that should have been a win.
How
should have been a win.
No, I agree with you.
And they had Kylian in that game.
I agree with you.
Kylian in that game, and they didn't get the win.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but like the point is that you're still allowed to be unlucky, and I think that's what happened there. I think that they were in a little bit of that situation.
I do
those
believe
games,
in luck.
They were unlucky.
I do believe in luck in football, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, if we were talking, if this was like the game against Netherlands, I get it. That's where luck played a huge factor.
But like, dude,
but
again, you're
against
discounting
Poland,
the luck that Spain got. Spain were lucky to beat Italy. They didn't score in that game. Italy did, just in the wrong net. They got lucky to run up against Croatia because Croatia hasn't played well, all this tournament. They like the same conversation. They scored 3 against Croatia.
I don't agree. I don't agree that they were lucky against Italy because yes, they got the own goal. That was lucky, but they were outplaying Italy in almost every way you can look at it. They were outplaying them. Italy were not able to get off. They weren't able to. They were stuck in their own half.
Yeah, because they wanted to.
And you've said no, they don't, bro. Italy is a World Cup winning nation. What kind of nation goes into a game as important as this to draw? That would make no sense. They didn't want a draw. Spain was just containing them really well. And you know what the problem with Spain and why I will not admit that they are favorites, even though I do in my heart feel like they're the strongest team biasedly, is because they are missing that piece. They're missing that goal scorer because their game is there, but they're not putting away their chances. They had the chances. They had the chances. They definitely controlled and contained Italy very well, but they didn't put them away. And yes, they needed the luck to win the game.
I don't think that's true.
But I don't feel if it weren't true, Italy would have had way more chances than they did.
Italy has always been a defensive-minded team. They were always and have always played defense first.
But they don't play for a draw. They play
game.
for a win.
Why? The moment
And
they
for them
came
to not
out,
even have,
the
and for them
moment
to
that
not
they
even
came
have
out,
one chance.
dude,
They
the
barely had any
moment
chance.
that they came out and we saw how Italy lined up, that was not true. They did not have to play for a win. This is not a win and you're in tournament. This is not a win and you're in scenario. They just need to make it to the next group. And I will say this. I got baited by Italy winning the last Euro. Totally. I got baited by the COVID year. I will give you credit for that. But to say that Spain played better, no, it was an offensive team playing a defensive team. Italy shut the door on Spain. That's what they did. They said, Spain, shoot all you want. Come with everything that you've got. And
But
it
also,
wasn't good enough.
If that were true, Spain wouldn't have had as many shots on target as they did.
That's why would that not be true? A shot on target does not mean a big chance. Shot on target is a shot on target. You can have 9 shots on target. None of them were goals.
A shot on target, like, I don't agree,
None of them were goals.
I don't buy the narrative.
They didn't score.
I don't buy the narrative that a team as big as Italy, with the pride that they have, with the fan base that they have, with the competitions that they've won, went into a game to not win it.
Bro, it is the group stage. You're taking away. It does matter because the gamesmanship of the group stage matters.
They could have ended third. They could have. If they didn't win this game and say they lose the next game somehow by a goal, say they concede another own goal in the next game, or they make some mistake in the next game, they're out. Why would it make sense for them to go into a game against such a big team to lose it?
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said defensively,
not to lose it, not to not win it.
You can win playing defensively, but to say that, like, you don't have to go into every game needing 3 points. One of my favorite quotes of all time, is from Jose Mourinho back when he was at Inter Milan, and he said, "How do you feel about the fact that they had 90% of the possession?" And he said, "They can take the ball home with them. I took 3 points home with me." That was Italy's game plan.
They didn't even have any chance. Okay, that would, and here's my thing. I would not mind you saying that had they actually were a threat up top, because they weren't.
No, they weren't. But you know who else wasn't a threat up top? Spain. Spain had a bunch of nothing chances. They did not score. That's the point. Look, you're allowed to have your take. And if you want to have a love for Spain, have it. And I'm not trying to take it away. But this idea that Spain are somehow favorites or that Spain have looked the strongest is just objectively not true. They played against a Croatia team where we saw Croatia this tournament. They're not good. They didn't even play their main team against Albania. They still won that game against Albania,
qualifying over Italy.
And Albania, let me finish. And Albania is probably the worst team at this tournament. If we're being, like, just from the eye test, they're probably the worst team at this tournament. That's fine. And the first real competition that they faced in the tournament, which was Italy, it took a stroke of luck and a hand of God to get them to win that game. They did not score. That's it. Period. Done. Finito. Italy scored in that game in their own net. Now, I've said it and I'll say it again. I would rather be lucky than skilled any day of the week, and sometimes it just doesn't fall your way, and sometimes it does. And this is a situation where it fell Spain's way, and I'm not trying to take anything away from how Spain played. One of the things that we're going to talk about later is literally going to be me praising players on Spain. So please don't take this as Spain hate. It's not. It's just a reality check of how good this Spanish team actually is. And that's the point that I'm trying to make is Spain are good. They have a good team. The lineup that they're going to play with is a good team. The front three, the midfield trio, I am not a fan of that back four, but when you look at that team, there is not a single player on that team that I go, I would rather have X player over this player on another team for most teams in this tournament. And I think that's the point. we had this conversation
Okay,
last tournament, like with France. There's not a single player that's on France's team. Maybe Nico Williams. I would take Nico Williams over Thuram. I'll give you that. But like, I would rather have the French team at almost every single position. I would rather have the English team at almost every position. I would rather have the German team, and that's the point.
Okay, I get it, because that is an important point, and you are right. However, I will say this: the teams that have had the most talent, and I mean across not just the Euros. I mean, let's talk, and we don't have to talk the Copa America, but like the teams that have a lot of talent, like England and France, have been underwhelming in this tournament.
Yes. I think the whole tournament
And
has
so
been
I
underwhelming at the
get
top,
what you're
except for
what
Germany.
I get what you mean, and it is important to say that Spain don't have that player, because it's true. They don't have that player. Whereas Germany do. I mean, in Musiala they do. They have that guy.
They have a guy. They have
that
the guy.
They have that guy. That guy. You know, we talk about that. That's the guy, right? And I get it. And I do get it.
Hell,
But
Georgia have that guy.
They play the way that Spain do play as a team. I admire that over other teams, and they have played better than the teams. They have played better. We can say this, and I can say this honestly. Looking at the games, they have played better than the teams that have those quality players that you're talking about, other than Germany.
Again, I don't know if that's all that true.
Spain hasn't played better than England? Better than France?
I don't think they've played better than France. I don't think they have played better than England, but most teams have played better than England. But I don't think they've played better than France. I don't think they've played better than Portugal. And not playing better does not mean that they played worse. Okay?
Portugal
I'm not
lost
saying that
today.
they've played worse.
Portugal lost today.
Yes, playing their B
2-0.
team.
2-0.
Playing their B team.
2-0.
Playing their B team against a team that needed to win to get in. Georgia, the team that Spain is about to face, needed to win to get in. And don't sleep on Georgia. Georgia has the goal-scoring leader of the tournament going up against Spain. And Spain defensively is not good. Like, they're not good. And this is the point.
I agree with that statement. I do agree.
This is the point. Germany is. Germany defensively, they're great. Germany in the midfield, they're great. Germany in the front three, they're great. You want to have this conversation in defense with, let's say, France? They're great in the defense. They're great in the midfield. They're great up top. You want to have this conversation with the Netherlands? They're great in the defense. They're absolutely phenomenal in the midfield. If they're missing the finisher, but like so is Spain. And like my point is this. My point is this: is to say that Spain are the second best team in the tournament. I just don't think objectively is true. I don't know who is. I haven't looked at, like, to try to actually figure it out. I just gut feeling. I've watched almost every game of the tournament, and I know you have as well. I don't get that vibe. I don't walk away from the Spain games going like, damn, Spain really killed it today. Like, the only game that I walked away with that was the Croatia game. But ever since then, I thought, oh, this is the B team, whatever. And Albania has no chance of making it through. And then against Italy, it was a game of offense versus defense, and I thought that they both looked really good, and they got lucky to walk away with 3 points. I don't have that feeling about some other teams.
Okay, listen, let me just ask you this quick question before we move on, because we should move on from this topic, because, again, like the England, we've spent a lot of time on it. Would a win against Germany in the quarterfinals convince you that Spain are now going to be one of the best teams, if not the best team?
No.
Would that convince you?
No, and the only reason I say that is because I need to know how they beat them. Because if you beat Germany like you beat Italy, that's not a real like what I mean by that is like lucky.
If it's a
lucky win at the end in the 89th minute in Germany, like Germany should have shut the door, and like you still have to go beat Germany. But like also like I have to see how the other teams, like, let's say France falls apart, but they still somehow beat Belgium. And then they run up to Portugal in the round of, in the quarters, and France beats Portugal, but it's on some BS. And now Spain is going to have to go against France, and France is just limping their way through. That's a different conversation. I need to know the rest of the situation. I would not feel comfortable saying that. Now, if you're telling me that Spain come in and they absolutely dominate Georgia and they absolutely dominate Germany, that's a different conversation, and I would be more willing to have that conversation that Spain are going to do that. The problem is I don't believe either of those things are going to happen. I think while Spain beat Georgia, I don't think they will dominate Georgia. Georgia has impressed me so much this tournament. So much. And I think that this is a great pivot into our quick fire topics here, which is the youth of this tournament has shown up in such a big way, in my opinion. When you look at the guys who are under 23 years old and the stuff that's going on, like, dude, the leading goal scorer of the tournament is Makau Tadze from Georgia. He has 3 goals. He took the lead today, as the day of we're recording, when Georgia won their game. He has 3 goals and he leads the tournament with it. The highest assist getter is Alexander Pras out of Austria with 2 assists. Right? There's a bunch of people with 2, but the reason that I'm putting him, he is joint first, right, with a bunch of players. The reason I bring Pras up is because I think he's 19. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's so impressive to see how these youngsters are doing. Arda Güler, 19 years old for Turkey, scoring an absolute worldie to win them the game. Two matches ago. You know, Nico Williams, showing that he is the future of this Spanish team. He has played so well this tournament that he legitimately might have outpriced himself out of the Barcelona budget, and that makes me so happy because there was, at least before the tournament, a conversation about Nico Williams reaching, like, oh, maybe you can get him for 40, maybe you can get him for 50. No, if you want him, you're going to pay his entire release clause of 58 million euros. Deal with it. If you want him, that's how much he costs. Yeah. Finishing off the list,
Yamal. What have you thought about Yamal? Lamine Yamal, to me,
I think,
man,
has played really well.
To be 16 years old,
got an assist.
Play the way this man is playing.
Got an assist.
I know he's not all that. He's not all that, and I don't want to hype him up because I really don't want to do that to him.
Dude, but for a 16-year-old to be at a European
tournament. And you're right, where I don't want to do what we did to Ansu Fati and to Pedri and to a lot of players where we overplayed them because they're young. And I don't want to ruin him. I want to be real careful with this guy. But I
try to
feel
pump
like
the brakes on him, dude.
This guy is going to be, if we can do the right things, if Barcelona can do the right things with him, and this is totally off topic because I don't want to go into Barcelona right now.
Dude, it's just about just limit him. That's it.
Just limit him.
Don't rely on him.
Don't limit him, but don't limit him so much that he can't develop his game. That's the one thing.
He should be a secondary option. The problem,
he's not,
dude. This is going back to a conversation that we had. I'm sorry, but the $58 million winger that you brought in lost his job to a 16-year-old. Like, I'm just bringing them. I'm just saying. And the point is that I think Nico Williams has been the best player for Spain. I want to be very clear with that up front. He has been a superstar for Spain.
I can agree with that.
He has been so freaking good.
He's definitely been the attacking force for Spain.
He has. I think he's been everything for Spain. He has been the creative force, the attack. Like, Nico Williams, I think, has been the best player for Spain. And I am so excited to see him play for a team outside of Spain that isn't Barcelona. It's going to be great. And it's not having him at Bilbao because, like, he's a problem that you have to deal with. Like, dude, he is incredible. And he's only 21 years old. But I think I was going to mention it. I think Yamal has played exceptionally well for a 16-year-old. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's been world. He hasn't. He's been really good. And I think people are try to take that as an insult. Dude, you're 16 at the Euros and you're really good. That is the highest compliment. If you were coming in and you were world class as a 16-year-old, you're different. It's a different level of. The last time we saw that was with Pele, and he was world class at 16, 17 years old and won a World Cup. That's not a fair comparison.
We're also seeing but this is totally off topic from the Euros. Is Endrick is another player that we're just seeing come up and do the things that he's doing
It's just
at the age that he's
insane.
doing them at.
It's insane. Like, they are really
Yeah,
good. I'm not going to call
no
them
doubt.
world class. I love Endrick. I'm so happy he's going to be in this jersey next year. Pump the brakes. You're 18. You don't need to be Pele right now. You'll get there. You don't need to be in Yamal. You don't need to be Messi. You'll get there. Relax.
No, but
But I
yeah, but
think
I
he
hate
has
that.
been
But I hate that
so
the
good.
pressure,
Yes.
pressure is on them. But yeah. Anyways,
keeping it going with the youngsters real quick.
Keeping it going.
Musiala has been exceptional for
Musiala, yeah.
Germany. I think he's been the best player of the tournament. Maybe not so much youngsters. I like to consider anyone under the age of 23 as my cutoff. Is my cutoff for, like, you're no longer young, you know? And
I
if
agree.
that's the case, I think you have to have a conversation about both both of the Georgian forwards, Mika and Kvara, who have both been exceptional. Kvara with 2 goals, Mika with 3 goals. Like, this is where I'm like, Spain better not sleep on Georgia. They have the 2 leading goal scorers coming. They have to play against them. Mika's got 3 goals. He leads the tournament. And Kvara's in that number 2 spot, tied with a bunch of people, but he's got 2 goals this tournament. That's insane. Mika's a goal a game, and Kvara's a 0.75 goals a game. Like, they're playing incredibly, incredibly well. And I think the point that I want to make before we move on to our next quick fire topic is the game is in good hands. We're possibly watching the last European tournament of Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think we're finally transitioning
Yeah.
into a new era of football, which
Yep.
is very astonishing to see.
It's
One
exciting.
thing I
It's
wanna
sad,
talk
but it's
about-
exciting because there's
One
something to
thing-
look forward to. These are the players that my kids are going to watch growing up, and that's exciting.
Listen, the next thing I want to talk about, because I feel like it's due, are and it's maybe not our next quick fire topic, but I want to spend some time on it before, are the small teams, man. I mean, Austria and Romania, man. Okay, and I brought this up in one of my topics that we haven't completely talked about. This is where I feel like we can finally start saying that United don't have a coaching problem.
No, they have a
They
culture
have
problem.
a culture problem.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of United fans trying to be like, oh, well, the coach this. No. Ralph Ragnick, what he is doing with Austria,
Dude, it's insane.
you cannot look at this man and say he's not a good coach.
I want everybody in
This
the
is-
comment section to give Kevin his flowers. Because if you haven't watched the last episode, he called out on Austria. He said, watch out. And the things that he's about to say that Austria did, he called out. The reason I interrupted you, Kevin, is because I want you to get the flowers that you deserved. You called out. I did not believe in Ragnick,
You had him
in
you had him
Austria.
last.
I
Bro, you
had them
Austria
last. They
And they came
topped
up
their
first.
group.
Wow.
I want you to get your flowers because you deserve it. This
But
call
here's the
out,
thing, man. Here's the thing. I never had Austria ever going first. never would have I ever thought, looking at that group with Netherlands and France having the teams that they had.
even
Was I
Poland.
gonna be like, was I gonna say it with my chest that Austria were gonna be first? I said it's a team to look out for. So I don't want to receive the full praise, but I'm definitely so impressed because they went into this competition, starting to play very good, starting to find a really good identity within themselves, within Ralph Ragnick's sort of,
System
reign
style.
or system or coaching. And I'm so impressed by them, man.
Me too.
I mean, who would have? Nobody could
No.
have predicted that they were going to be first. Nobody.
Dude, I would love to see the bracket. No, you know who predicted that they were going to be first? Austria fans.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Not e-
and
I don't
even
even
then,
think they
maybe
did.
not.
I don't even think they did, to be honest.
Austria and the way that they have been playing. You know what this reminds me of? A lot of these players on Austria, what they have just done with this tournament. Do you remember the Brazil World Cup? The Brazil World Cup? The one that Germany won, they 7-1 over Brazil. Do you remember how good of a tournament James had? It earned him a spot at Real Madrid, like that very same summer. And like Toni Kroos winning that tournament with Germany got him to Real Madrid. Like, how many of these Austria players playing under Ragnick, how many of them have just earned their moves to big clubs? How many of them are gonna find their spot? Like, do you not, if you're a team who needs a winger, do you not call on Leimer now with how good Austria and Leimer have been playing? If you need a goalkeeper, do you not see how much it would cost to get Pence? Like so many of these players have played so incredibly well against some really, really, really good competition in Austria. Group D ended up showing us that it was the group of death for a reason. And they were so good. Romania topping their group. Group E being the best group in terms of like just even comp. Everybody ended with 4 points.
Man, I feel for Ukraine though, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like they should have, but it is what it is, man.
You conceded too many
they,
goals.
They conceded too many goals, but they did. I mean, 4 points, man, in that group.
It's impressive. It's an impressive achievement. Georgia, I've been talking about Georgia. I'm going to give Georgia their flowers right now. Fun fact, this is Georgia's first ever European tournament, ever in the country's history. And in their first tournament ever, at the end of the group stage, they are making it to the round of 16 in their first tournament ever. And they have the leading goal scorer and leading assist maker on their team. Like, it is absolutely insane to think what Georgia's doing. They have just been... Dude, it's so cool because you brought this up earlier, so I want to bring it up real quick. Is you said that the some of the teams have disappointed, and I think what we're seeing from this tournament is that the teams at the top have not played to the level that they should have played, except for Germany.
But the teams at the bottom have exceeded a lot of expectations.
What happened is everybody came to the middle.
Yeah.
Except for Germany.
Which is what's awesome about the Euros, man.
Dude,
the Euros are that level of competition.
In what world are the two best games at the Euro both played by Turkey? The Turkey-Georgia and Turkey-Czechia games should go down in history as some of the best Euro games. Because, dude, they went to the last minute. Czechia was playing a man down. The fastest red card in Euro history happening in that game. And 18 cards were given in that game. Czechia got 2 red cards, one after the game had ended. Like, this tournament has been such a wild ride. And it's because the youth have been so good. It's because the teams at the bottom have been so good. The teams at the top haven't been able to stay at the top, like, except for Germany.
The level of competition in the Euro has been outstanding. Anyways, I want to end it. I want to end it there, and one last thing that I want to talk about before we end it, because we're getting close there to just kind of concluding this.
Mm-hmm.
Is what do you think about the bracket, man? How does the bracket look like to you? It looks a lot stronger on one side than it does to me. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah, the top half of the bracket. The top half of the bracket is loaded, and the bottom half.
There's definitely going to be the one on the top side will definitely be the dark horse coming in or the underdog coming into the final, and the one on the other side is going to be the favorite, regardless of who is.
Yeah, so that's the bottom half, or at least the way they have it on the Euro.
The way they have it, the bottom half looks like that's going to be the favorite, and then the one on top is going to be the underdog coming into that final.
Like, the thing that sucks with the bracket and the way that it's played out, like, really quickly, we can go through it. Like, if
the best teams are on one side.
No,
that's
absolutely. If we look at the way, I thought I could do that. I have it incorrectly. Sorry guys, I can't pull it up for everyone to see. I think the things that really just disappoint me is the inability to, once the games are done and once the matchups have been chosen, they should reshuffle the bracket. They should put the 1 seed on, like, you see that in American sports. It's like the the bracket isn't made until all the games are done, and then you try to opposite it so that the final theoretically could be the 1 seed and the 2 seed, right? Because that's how you want it to be. You want the best teams. And I think that right now, regardless of what we individually believe, I think we both think that the 1 seed and the 2 seed are on the same side of the bracket. Because you have Spain as the 2 seed. I have France as the 2 seed. Some people really like Portugal. They might have them as the 2 seed. Like,
It's just
they're
the fact
all
that,
on the same side of the bracket.
the best teams, man, and that's might make it a little more disappointing because I don't feel like we're gonna have like the most quality final. But I mean, we'll see. Italy could start coming up, or
But even
isn't that
then,
beside
even
Netherlands?
if England makes it through to the final, which they're probably going to with the way that this team plays, do they deserve to be in the final with how they're playing?
Absolutely not.
No, right? Or like if the Netherlands, because I think the semifinal game is going to be Netherlands versus England. Do they deserve to be in either one of them? Do they deserve to be in the final?
No,
If
man, I feel like
Austria
Italy-
keeps their run going, right? Do they deserve to be in the final? Like,
If Austria keeps that run going, I feel like they definitely.
but like,
deserve to
dude,
be
but
in
you're
the final.
talking about the competition that the road to the final being Turkey, Netherlands, England, or Turkey, Netherlands, Italy. Like, it's one of those things where I'm out on the Italy hype. I don't believe anymore. I don't believe.
No.
I don't believe.
England,
I
England
think
are
they're a
more
good
than
team.
likely.
As
Yeah.
long as Southgate is the manager for England, I can't believe in them. I'm not gonna set
I'm just
myself up for
happy that
disappointment.
Netherlands actually ended up on that side of the bracket because I did not want them to face Spain because they're one of my.
And that's I think that's the whole thing is I think they try to make it fair with like, oh, first team's gonna go here, and then second place teams we're gonna split it up, and I think it is a much better way to do it. It would be hard because with group stages and stuff like that. How do you seed the teams? Do Spain get the 1 seed because they didn't lose a game, even though Germany has been statistically better? But then you could say, oh, we could have a committee do it, but now you're adding opinion into it. And then some people have wrong opinions, like, like you saying that Spain are the strongest team. Like, it's weird, but I think you're absolutely right. I think the bracket on one side is much like this top half is going to be just a murderer's row because I think the only team that walked away kind of lucky in the round of 16 in the top half is Portugal getting Slovenia. Because Denmark's not a walk in the park. Germany should beat them, but they're not a walk in the park. Georgia's not a walk in the park. They've shown us that. But Spain should beat them. Belgium's not a walk in the park, but France should beat them. And then it's just murderer's row. Like, France-Portugal is a game good enough to be the final. Spain-Germany is a game good enough to be the final.
Yeah.
Every game on that bracket from the quarterfinals to the on could be a finals game that we would all be happy at. None of that can be said about the bottom half. If it was England, Italy final, you'd be like, I guess, maybe. But like what, Netherlands, Austria? That's the final?
Yeah.
England, Netherlands, that's the final? Like, you wouldn't be happy with that situation. So
No. Anyways, we're gonna end it here, you guys. Make sure to comment. What do you guys think about what we talked about today? What do you guys think about England and their reign? What did you guys take on what I said about Spain or
who's
what
going to win?
Tigo said? Who do you guys think is the favorite other than Germany? Right?
Yeah, no
Because
Germany answers. Aside from
no
Germany, who's winning it?
Aside from Germany, who do you guys think to you is your favorite? Who
And
has
why is it
played
Romania?
good? Please leave a comment, like and subscribe to the channel. We will keep making content for you guys because this is what we love to do. And thank you so much, Tigo. Thank you again. And that's it.
Peace.